again, good to see everyone here. I always try to leave a little space, and now how many closings have I done here? I feel like, whatever, a great pitcher here or something. But others obviously have made the meeting as wonderful it has been. I think I can go to the next slide. And I think Alyssa did a great job in this last session, and you all did a great job together in terms of the take-homes. I also want to particularly thank Fred and Erica. I'm not sure there's a picnic that really emerged from the Bridges work. For me, in thinking of both professional and personal things and all, I think it's actually, I'm going to look it up more and hopefully, benefit from, I don't know that I'm an improv person, but I like humor and song and those things and appreciate that, different people approach that differently. I did put in the notebook under that session a little piece that my husband and I, with some very good chaplains, wrote a while ago, 10 years ago, called Amen, which is essentially when a patient comes forward to you, says they're expecting a miracle, and you as the health provider shouldn't say nice, but keeping the and word in there is really important in that conversation as well. So there's a little reference there for the clinicians if you want to look at one approach, again, much informed by chaplains as well as my husband and my own clinical experience about the miracle piece. And again, trying to not have it be that if you say you don't believe in miracles, that you somehow are making yourself more powerful than a god or someone who might be the way in which another person is approaching that. I really don't want to pick a particular session out, but really much appreciate the combination of data and stories across the day. I think I came away more understanding. I know Jeff Brasco personally because of being LEND directors and things for years, and there's a piece of me that thinks it's sort of short-sighted to undo these years of NIMAC margin, et cetera, and we'll see. It isn't a lot of money, and I know of many other federal programs now that are having budgets cut, et cetera. So the idea of how we figure out how to do these small portions of money, clearly speaking as a U.S. citizen, that we need something that addresses universal access to health care. I think I'm going to save my list of my brief Maya Angelou story. I've met Maya Angelou and a few quotes from Maya Angelou for a little bit later in this. So let's go through the kind of a little bit more thanks and then mechanical parts of reviewing CEU, et cetera. So next slide, Fred. Next slide. All right. So again, I think this is set up as a Mentimeter. Am I correct, Fred?
Yes, that's correct. So Erica's just put the link in chat, and then we'll share those results as they come in. I don't know if you want to speak more about the prompt, Joann.
Yeah. So again, the idea we've had thanks, I think, throughout, and thanks for our last session and Alyssa working in the notebook. But again, for some of you as professionals, it's been about finding resources and continuing to find resources. As family members, again, it's been connecting with others, as is mentioned here. And then I think we can do this and then go to the next slide, Fred, but let's give this a moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we can go to the prepared slide on thanks and gratitude. How's that? Again, I'm not going to read this, but we've just had really another great conference, lots of ideas. We have a few more NIMAC meetings, and as Alyssa mentioned, we have a small amount to continue activities that are already started in what's called federally issued many of you know, called a no-cost extension. The state teams, we talked a little bit about those morphing, and I offer up something we discussed in our notebook session around thinking about not only all of the rules that are out there, whether it's telehealth or licensure, et cetera, across state lines, but also think about peer support and family support across state lines. Not every state or territory that only has a couple of genetic counselors, maybe invite that person there or a couple of those people there to be part of whatever sort of peer supervision or ongoing support you have. I don't think state lines matter for us helping one another. Again, particularly thankful for Erica, Fred, and I'm not going to get all the names right of all the other helpers, but this was really been a wonderful collaboration over these years, and we've learned an enormous amount from you, and obviously our colleagues who have turned us into better listeners in Spanish, even if we can't understand or answer the questions and repeat those things. And look forward to hearing additional good news and forward progress from the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So I'm going to go to formal things, and then I'll close with some Maya Angelou quotes. So again, there is formal feedback, and for those that are looking for CME or CEUs, you actually have to fill the evaluation out by May 3rd. There are obviously lots of places to look for information about this, from the brochure, the website, and if you're really stuck and can't find stuff, you can email us. The email will still work for a while. Next slide. I'm not going to read this, but I think you know there are 10 Category 1 credits for the hours you spent, and we are able to do this at a reduced cost, but appreciate that money is money. And next slide. All right, for CME, next slide. Again, it's a different number of credits because things get counted a little bit differently, but again, there is a little longer period here. Next slide. And again, I think that's just a reminder. And next slide. And again, there are places to go for those resources, and you just have to, as you know, have been present and be honest with that. Next slide. I mentioned wanting to share some quotes here. I hope that's okay. I had mentioned one in the last breakout session. That these are all from Maya Angelou. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Obviously, there are different metaphors, analogies we can have for a final meeting. I like to think of this as transition, not a funeral, not a celebration exactly, but again, change that we're going to make the best of. She also said, I'm convinced of this. Good done anywhere is good done everywhere. For a change, start by speaking to people rather than walking by them like they're stones that don't matter. As long as you're breathing, it's never too late to do some good. And for the advocates out there, I've learned that you shouldn't go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. You need to be able to throw something back. And finally, my wish for you is that you continue to be who you are and how you are, to astonish a mean world with your acts of kindness. Next slide. I'm not going to read the Spanish. Do we have some Spanish speaker that's willing to better than I would? We have an interpreter there somewhere, don't we?
Adiós y hasta que nos volvamos a encontrar.
Yes, and it's well meant, and that is one of my missions with my husband, if we can manage this, to try to do better at our Spanish once we retire. And next slide. So again, thank you all for your participation. This last slide, again, NIMAC@fair.org will continue, and remember your Post-its, whether that's in meetings around what people really want, but inclusion matters so much as we move forward in a better world. So thank you all.